Hello students, I am Dr. P.C.Kambodia, Associate Professor in the Department of English, BSR Government Arts College, Alwar, Rajasthan. This video is for the students of BA Part-2 English Literature, Paper-1 Poetry and Drama. In this video, we discuss Ode to the West Wind composed by P.B. Shelley. P.B. Shelley is a romantic poet. Other than P.B. Shelley, the important romantic poets are Shelley, Coleridge, Keats, Wordsworth, and Byron. These poets, they sing about nature, their own pain and suffering. They want to escape from this world to some another world because of the hard competition of life. P.B. Shelley is known as a revolutionary poet. Revolutionary poet is one who wants a change in the existing system and social setup. He is a poet of lyrical poetry. That is, when his poems are recited, music comes out of them. His poem Ode to the West Wind is a poem of the type ode. There are various types of ode: Horatian ode, Pentaric ode, and the ode is written to. It means it is addressed to, and it is not written about. Here, the address is directly to the west wind. In the beginning of this ode, the poet addresses to the fast flowing west wind. Poet says that west wind is a preserver and destroyer. Preserver of the seeds and destroyer of the leaves. When the west wind flows fast, thousands and thousands of leaves are detached from the branches. They are pale, withered, hectic red, and they spread everywhere on the ground. It appears that all these leaves are flowing fast in air, as if some ill spirits, they fly before a magician. Then the poet says that the seeds that have been fallen from the trees are also scattered all around, and they are buried under the soil. When favorable conditions would be there of temperature and humidity, all these buried seeds would germinate in small plants. They will bear the buds, and then those buds will bloom in flowers of different colors. And this way we see that west wind is a preserver as well as destroyer. Then the poet looks towards the sky. In the sky there are numerous clouds, and those clouds are being taken to every direction by the west wind. The poet imagines that there is a huge tree that grows very big, and its branches spread all over in the sky, and all these clouds are attached just like leaves to that huge tree. Then poet describes the scene of rain and lightning. Of course, there are the illuminations all around, and thunder sound is there. It appears as if Bacchus, the god of wine, with different locks on his head, spreaded differently is there sitting on one of the plane that is created by the west wind. The west wind is singing the dirge, funeral song of the passing year. Then a dome is there. Then the dome is created by the frozen ice droplets and the frozen humid water vapors. The year is passing, the new year will come, and then west wind will accommodate this music. Then poet says that when west wind comes out of forest, it produces music. The poet would also like to produce music, that is, he would like to create poetry as inspired by the west wind. The poet says that he has already passed through his youth and now he is passing through his past life, that is almost the old life. Of course, that was not the old life, but the life without energy. The poet feels that his energy has been exhausted and he makes a request to the west wind to stop for a while and listen to his request that the energy of west wind may be imparted to the poet. The poet reminds the west wind that once he was also full of energy, and had there been a competition, then he would have excelled the west wind in approaching towards the higher heights of the sky. But now he is helpless, so that energy may be transferred to the poet. Then the poet says that there is a hearth, fireplace. Then that fireplace is also spreaded all around by the west wind, which means that the poet would like to sing song as energized by the west wind. He is inspired to compose poetry with the help of west wind. Then the poet shifts the scene towards the ocean. Mediterranean Ocean is there. Mediterranean Ocean was resting because of the heat. Mediterranean Ocean was daydreaming. Then Mediterranean Ocean goes to the bottom, looks at those buried palaces which were once there at the bank of its boundaries. Then the west wind comes and produces thunder sound, so the personified Mediterranean Sea wakes up and he is reminded that west wind is there. He is afraid of the coming of west wind. West wind creates a chasm, division in between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Sea. The huge furrow is seen, and this way we can imagine about the power of the west wind. West wind has been composed in truly romantic style of poetry, because the poet sings about his own sufferings, as he says that I fall on the thorns of life, I bleed. And this scene is the scene of suffering, because we are reminded of the pain and also of the bloodshed. This way, the poet keeps on shifting the scene from the land to the sky and to water. This kind of poetry provides picture, so it is also called as picturesque poetry, in which scenes are given with minute details. So we come to the end of this ode to the west wind. We shall be taking some other poem according to the syllabus in our next video class. The students are hereby asked to write a critical appreciation of the poem Ode to the West Wind by P.B. Shelley and send their answers to my email, that is cambodiapc@gmail.com, in order to have my comments and suggestions to improve their answers. Thank you so much.